May I come in? I've stopped crying. I'm all right again. Tell me you're not cross with me, Joe. Tell me everything is just as it was. Again. Okay. May I come in? I'm all right. I've stopped crying. Tell me everything is just as... Again. May I come in? I've stopped crying. Tell me everything is just as it was, Joe. Tell me you're not cross with me. And he said again about 10 more times. I'm now in the advanced acting class, which I hoped and wished and frankly bulldozed my way in. I want to be a great actress. I was in the basic class and I watched all my classmates move up. I was told later it was because my other teacher wanted to keep me, but who knows? And so I am now having to portray Norma Desmond, the greatest star of them all, desperate, lonely, tragic, controlling. She's the one who, when asked, "Didn't you used to be big?" said, "I still am big. The pictures got small." And so I thought, I can play her. I can be drammy-ish. But the teacher asked me to do it again and again. And I think, well, right. You know, this is what happens on the set. So this will give me the illusion that I'm actually a professional actress, hoping that someday I actually will be paid to do it again and again and again. I am committed. I am working with an actor who is young, handsome, of course tattooed. And I find out after our second rehearsal, a recovering drug addict, now sober. And so we gamely start the scene again. I am driving the scene. I knock on the door. I say my lines. And then the teacher jumps out of his seat, kisses me on the cheek, and hugs me. I don't know if this is for encouragement, or he's annoyed and acting counter, or he wants me to be reminded that this is a love scene. Norma is desperately in love with Joe, the out-of-luck screenwriter. And so I thought, okay, well, that was nice. All right, he hugged me. I can start again. And I do. And he stops me again and again. And then he does something I've never seen him do with any of the students in class. He bolts on stage and he tackles me to the ground. And then we are rolling around and he's hugging me and we are laughing and it is fun and it is silly and it is life affirming and I am laughing and he is laughing and the class is laughing. Isn't this grand? And he has me start again. Okay, so maybe I just needed to get warmed up. I say my lines and he says again. And I repeat them and I repeat them. And at this point, I have been on stage for 1 hour trying to get through my 5-minute scene of Sunset Boulevard. He then asks me, "What breaks your heart?" And at that moment, because I've been on stage so long and I feel so on the spot, I can't think of anything. I mean, I cry all the time, but I couldn't think of anything. And you're not allowed to say, "I don't know," in that class, ever. So I talked about my father, because my father died when I was 14, and that is my greatest sadness. And he asked me, "What does your father smell like?" And I said, "Old Spice." And that got me, that smell. I loved my father, I adored my father, and I could feel the tears coming, and I also realized, God dang it, I should have realized that. What's her first line? "I've stopped crying now." That's the way you're supposed to start the scene. And I've always felt like when you can cry, that's your way to getting an Oscar. So yes, look, I am really acting. I am crying, the tears are there, and he has me start again and again. And he says, no. He says, finish your gestures. He says, start again. He says, what are you doing? He says, are you exhausted yet? And I knew it was rhetorical. I knew not to answer. And I knew he wanted me to let go. And I was trying, but all I could do was think of letting go in my head. And I didn't know what else to do. I just knew that I was wrong, that I was doing it badly, that I was ashamed, that I was probably the worst person in the class. And I kept going. I kept trying. Again. And at this point, I started to cry from that deep, sacred, private place. And I was uncontrollable. I could not stop crying, and this was not right for the scene. Norma is not supposed to be doing this. And I told him, I can't stop crying. And he said, then do it with tears. And I would stand at the door and I would knock and I would try to hold my breath to try to just get my voice steady so I could actually say the lines. And I could feel my forehead was hot and my ears were hot and my shoulders were heaving and my nose was running. And Norma, because she's a silent screen actress, everything is elegant. And so I didn't want to do that. So the snot's running down my face. The tears are running down. And all I could think of, I just want to get through it. It was a Kafkaesque groundhog nightmare. But I don't give up. And then in my head, I see Richard Gere. Richard Gere laying on the ground as Lou Gossett Jr. is screaming at him to quit. And Richard is crying and he says he's not going to quit, he's not going to quit. And finally he says, because I have nowhere to go. And I knew I wasn't going to give up. And I went through the scene finally, and I mouthed to my scene partner, I'm sorry. And I held my head high as I exited the stage and went right into the bathroom and got a lot of toilet paper for my eyes and for my nose. And what just happened? A few people after class said, oh, that was good work. I wonder if they had empathy. I wonder if they pitied me or if it was genuine praise. I always want to be in control in my life, always. I'm the one that asks the question, so then I get to listen, so then I can control the narrative. But it has a price. There's no intimacy. And I realize what we do on stage is what we do in life, and back and forth and vice versa. When I went skiing, I was so afraid of falling that I was on the hill, completely perpendicular, not moving at all. My skis were locked in a tip, and I watched everybody whizzing by me. And so the ski instructor took the tips of my skis and pulled me so that I went down the slope, and I realized that that's what I have to keep doing. I was kissed, I was cajoled, I was wrestled to the ground, and I guess that's what it took for me to let go. In trying to be good, you cannot be good. It was a big lesson. It was an experience that the teacher wanted me to have in my body. And so this coming week, I'm going to the top of the hill on my skis, and I am now having to play Amanda from the Glass Menagerie. I will unlock my skis and completely let go as I go down the hill. Thank you.